Our next talk will be less JavaScript, build modern interactive UIs with HTML and CSS. And our talker here is going to be Johannes Raggam. Yes.
Raggam, yeah.
Yes. Can we have applause for Johannes? Yes.
Thanks, and thanks for showing up. It's it's a talk about how you can use standard HTML features and reduce the amount of JavaScript. Why is this even important? So it's better for performance. So the less downloads you have of JavaScript assets, the better. It can sometimes really get out of hand. I've seen even a site which was not in the Plone environment with 60 megabytes of JavaScript in the backend because a lot of plugins were installed and the plugins were loaded doubled and so on. And it's also that the browser does not need to pass all that stuff because some of the features which I will present are just built in. Then also accessibility is improved. The standard browser features normally do have a good accessibility. And if you build something like a slider or a menu without using standard HTML features, which you could reuse for that, you have to take care of all the ARIA tags and so on, and make it accessible yourself. Also, it's better for maintainability.
We record both the screen and you.
I'm standing exactly at this screen. Okay, no problem. I just move here. Better? Good. Better for developer experience and maintainability and so on. And there are also some limitations, like the browser support is sometimes lacking for some advanced features, and you also have some design constraints. You cannot. You are limited in the possibilities you have with CSS and everything. Also, maybe some feature constraints. First, I will go to present you some quick wins. Maybe it's boring because it's obvious that images can be loaded lazily. I have still sites running with a JavaScript doing the lazy loading. But nowadays, you really don't have to use a JavaScript for that anymore. Just use the loading lazy attribute, and you're basically done. This is for images and iframes. There's no configurable threshold, so images are loaded when the browser thinks it should, and that's most of the time, or that's probably always a good thing. If you don't want lazy loaded images, then you just don't use this attribute, and I would just say use it. Then date, time, and datetime local fields, they are also around since quite some time, but we were using in Plone 5, for example, a JavaScript library, which at least all of my customers hated a lot because it didn't allow them to directly enter in the dates. You had to use drop-downs and everything and use the mouse and keyboard a lot. The mouse, actually. Keyboard support was not very good. This is it. It's probably no surprise. You have a date widget here. And it's actually not the desktop browser features of this widget are not so perfect. They are probably better JavaScript alternatives, but the mobile browser support is really great. If you open on your mobile phone, always the native widgets are used, and this is really good. Then you also have text input here. That's a positive thing. And the I at the end support is actually a bit lacking. So we had in mockup an issue that the Basque language was not available, I think in Firefox, or was it Chrome? I don't know yet. But for that, you did not have any translated widgets. So, and you cannot do much about that. If that is lacking, you basically need to use a JavaScript widget for that. Also, the audio video thing is also an old hat, but you can, with the audio and video tags, use multiple source entries, and the browser just uses the file or which it can play. So it chooses if it isn't able to play MP3 files, which probably no browser nowadays is lacking of this feature, then it could use another one. Yeah. And also it falls back if the audio element, also not a common thing here nowadays, falls back to this HTML only part in the lower part. Basically the same for videos. And you can also combine that with JavaScript libraries. I will quickly show you the Wave Surfer library. This just renders a waveform, and the normal recommendation of Wave Surfer is you use a div, and you actually invoke the library via JavaScript and don't use audio elements at all. But if you use the audio element, you still have this benefit of a browser choosing the best file format. And here, this is connected. You can, for example, move the slider down in the audio control, and it is also sliding in the waveform above. Good, let's move on. And now to the detailed summary elements. This is an element which I was talking with my colleagues really a lot in the last year, because that came to my most favorite element, because you can actually do a lot of stuff with that. Basically, it's just an accordion, quite a boring thing. You can zip and unzip, expand and unexpand some information here. And the summary part here is more or less the button where you can, which you can use to expand and unexpand. This is also accessible, so you can use it with the keyboard. And also the state is known by the browser, and it can report back to any assistive technologies, what the situation is, if it's expanded or not or so. And here a little bit more complex example. Actually, I made an error here in this code example. It should actually be the same name. For the feature I will show you now, that you can connect multiple detail elements if you give them the same name, and then if you click on one, the other one collapses again. And also, if you give one of those elements the open attribute, it will just be rendered open when you initially. Good. And what can you use it for? Accordions, of course. You can also use it for menus. So I was using that for a menu which is expanded for desktop sizes, and is collapsed for a mobile menu. I will show you that in a minute. And for example, it can also be for the Plone toolbar, which is also just a menu, and for form tapping. This is a bit of a misuse maybe, but still it could be better than some of the other form tapping solutions we have. It has limited styling options, so you cannot use any open or close transition. I think there is something coming up, but I'm not sure about the status yet. But basically, you have to live with this limitation. So, some demos. One demo is the resource registry. If you maybe remember from Plone 6.0, early beginnings or so, if some JavaScript was broken here, then you could not use anything anymore. So you had to open the registry, or I don't know what, and fix the broken JavaScript and disable it. Now this is just a details summary element, and you can expand it even if you broke the site completely. That will always work. maybe the styling is broken, but still, if there's no styling at all, then it will still just work. As in the demo I showed you before, this was also just the details without any styling. Then another example. Yes, this is a site I was working in the last year in my spare time, so a pet project. And I used that as a playground to experiment a bit. And this menu on the side here is a detail summary menu. You have seen a little bit of a transition now. I actually don't know where it comes from, but yeah, but it zips and unzips, and the nice thing is, before I show you the mobile version, I show you the toolbar. The toolbar is the same. It's I changed the toolbar because, yeah, just to make a point and make it simpler. That was the goal. These details and summary elements, and works fine. You can see the arrow animating. There's in the summary element you have a marker pseudo selector which you can use to change the arrow element, and that one you can just transition just like normal. And now let's show how that looks if we make it a bit smaller this side. So now it unzipped into mobile menus. I will move on to the next page, so to the other side, because in the front page there's a little error preventing me clicking here, but when I click here, this is the mobile version. It's just the same HTML structure as before, but initially in those mobile, in small screens, initially collapsed. And a different styling. The summary element here is is this burger menu. And you can also just use it here, like with the desktop menu. And if you can live with that, so no transitions and any fancy stuff, but still, in my opinion, not so bad looking menu. There's almost no JavaScript involved, except for the detection when the screen gets too small, the open tag is removed. And if it gets bigger again, the open tag in the summary element is added so that the menu collapses again. But this is really just a few lines of JavaScript made in a pattern. Yeah, that's basically it. And also, there's the edit menu is also more or less the same here. Same situation like with the navigation menu. Okay, one more thing: you can misuse the detail summary element for form tapping. It's done here. Maybe make it a bit smaller. Yeah. Here form tabs. So you have to. If I click on tab 3, now the content changes to 3. It's there's a detail summary element, which actually only includes the form header, and with a little CSS trick, I'm showing or hiding the sections here below. It's a bit ugly maybe, but it does work absolutely without JavaScript. And here, if I collapse it, this is the mobile version. So a different one, it's more like an accordion going up and down, collapsing and expanding. This is referenced. The links are just referenced in the presentation, and the presentation is available on my GitHub account. So if you want to look it up, and also just ask me if you have any questions. Let's move on. Slider and carousel items. These are common user interface elements in web design, and if you need such a thing, you don't have to. You don't need to use a JavaScript library for that, because CSS has already most of the important stuff built in. So make it a bit smaller so that we can see that better. You see here, there is a scroll snap type thing which makes an element when it scrolls snapping at a specific point. You can define the scroll behavior that is not moving fast but smoothly or so. And you can hide the scroll bar for most of the browsers. And but actually, the most important trick is that you just have your slider items shown side by side and hide the overfloating stuff, but allow to scroll. So I just show you how that looks like. This is an example slider. If I move over here, you see there's a scroll bar. I just kept it in so that I can make a better point and can show you better. This is sliding like that. I can use my fingers, so it's already touch enabled. If I just slide it with my fingers, it's like that. It has no keyboard support. For that, you would need a little bit of JavaScript, or a little bit, depends on. But there is even more behind this slider support. For example, you can use scroll buttons. This is an experimental thing. It does not work in Firefox yet, but in Chrome, it's just working very, very well. But for that, it's not yet ready to use, and I hope it will become ready soon. But it's impressive. With a bunch of JavaScript which defines pseudo elements, you can define a left and a right scroll direction button. You can also up and down define that, and it looks like that. Except I'm now in Firefox, so I have to switch over to Chrome. Wait a second. Here's the scroll button. See it? And I can click on here, and it's just sliding very nicely. I'm looking forward when this comes to all browsers. And there's even more behind the slider thing. There's you can also define scroll markers, those little dots with the scroll marker pseudo element. Also not available for Firefox yet, but in Chrome it looks like this. You see that here? I mean, the styling could be improved, but that's what I came up yesterday quickly. And it's also interactive. You can click on it, use those arrows. Yeah. But as I said, not yet production ready because Firefox is not supporting it. But I show you some other examples. On the second, I have to go back to the. I've seen a slider on the ORF page, which is the Austrian television company, and I think they got the slider really, really well. This is exactly using the same things as I have shown before, except for this new stuff, which is not available yet in Firefox. So this is a, I don't know what JavaScript component, but the core here is just a div with, or a list element actually with items in it, which can be with this overflow mechanism. And you can just use without any tricks your touch sliding and it moves on. And you have some buttons here. And because I liked it so much, and I liked it so much, that slider component, I rebuilt that for our project as a web component in that case. No pattern slip here, but a web component. It's that one. We also have a play button, which would just automatically go to the next slide after a specific amount of time. And these buttons, which are regular buttons with some JavaScript behind, and this thing here. And you can use it with touch swiping, and also with the keyboard in that case. And it's accessible, so area tags are added and removed as they are needed. This is not yet available anywhere because the most critical thing which prevents me to push it to GitHub is a naming issue. I don't know which name I should use. If you're interested in it, just get in contact and I can show you what I did and maybe think of a name and finally put it on GitHub somewhere. Okay. So then some quick run-throughs through other features. Form validation. You don't need really a JavaScript library for that because there are already some validation attributes available in forms, and you can use CSS to style an invalid or valid form, and the browser also spits out some error messages. So here, this text field is required, and if I put some text in here, it's already the validation constraint is fulfilled, and it's green now. That's just what I did here with this styling stuff here. This is styling code. And still it makes sense to use JavaScript. We in SysLab are using the validation pattern, bat validation, and that gives us more validation rules, for example. We can depend on other fields, like your date, your end date must be after the start date, for example. This is something, or there's no checkbox checking yet in pure HTML. This is something which bat validation gives us. And the important thing here is it uses the standard web validation API. So you still have these valid and invalid selectors. Yeah. Then dialogues are a new thing. Let's quickly look into that. I don't have an example for that. But if we scroll down, then just use an example somewhere. Yeah, no. There's a model going up, even with a transition, and you can use your escape button, and it's closed again. Then there are also backdrops, which in Plone 5, at least, we were using our custom backdrops. Not necessary anymore because, let me see, I think this one is it. Yes, here's a backdrop. And the close button, and it's also accessible, so I'm looking forward to replace our pet modal with that stuff. Probably we still need some JavaScript to handle form, to do the form handling right. But no hard need to use a custom JavaScript library for modals anymore. Then in the future we will have, we will maybe finally get masonry support, you know, those alignment of images on a page with different sizes, and it just chooses the most ideal layout by itself with this Desandro JavaScript library, which I was using a lot. Actually, a Desandro t-shirt here. I hope this will that the CSS standard will become soon a reality. There's an article on Smashing Magazine from 2020 where the masonry support was announced, and there's also a masonry specification in a draft, but I think there's since years not much activity, and the only browser which has kind of some support in is Firefox with a feature switch, so you have to, it's just not, you cannot just not use it, but yeah, I hope that will come soon because it's a nice layout feature. But if you don't need masonry, you can still make nice looking image listings with CSS. And maybe we will become some built-in native support for geographical maps. But I don't know much about that. There is more just a working group, getting some ideas, and no real results yet, or no real stuff which you can actually use, or not to speak about any browser support yet. So I think that was it. The talk is available here, and for any questions, just ask. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I have one.
Oh, sorry.
Are there any sort of modernizer JavaScript library that port back those features to the older browsers that don't support them? That would be cool.
Yeah, I don't know of any. Like for example, for the slider, that would be an obvious thing to have. I just don't know of any, but that would be a good thing. In Pattern Sleep, in the last year, I built in something different, a native support for the navigate event, but that's not helping with pure JavaScript stuff. But yeah, it's no, I don't know of any. Sorry.
You can do one.
Yeah, if I would love, maybe if Alex pays me for that.
Any other questions? If not, thank you for your amazing presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, give me a applause.